So far on RBY Pokemon Challenges, we have taken 3 level 5 runs against the Elite Four. First, we beat Pokemon Yellow with a team of Pokemon where we showed some incredible strategies. Then we took a solo Ghastly at level 5 and completely crushed the Red and Blue Elite Four. And last week, we took a solo Gyarados and beat Pokemon Yellow's Elite Four even with their updated AI and movesets. That raises a natural question. Is it possible to beat the entire game, start to finish, with a level 5 Pokemon? That's what we're going to test today, folks, because this is an insane challenge, but I think I've figured out a way to make it possible. We're going to take this run in Pokemon Red and Blue, and we are going to be setting our Pokemon to have no experience gain. And you folks can already see what Pokemon we're going to take in this one. That's right, folks. We're taking a Gyarados. Gyarados in Pokemon Red and Blue has probably the single most broken level 5 moveset that has ever existed in the franchise. This Pokemon starts with Dragon Rage, Hydro Pump, Bite, and Leer. Dragon Rage does 40 damage to any opponent, regardless of our level. We've already seen how strong that is. Hydro Pump is able to absolutely crush opponents because of our stab bonus early in the game. And we're a flying type, so we're going to resist ground type completely. This might just be doable. Now, the key in this run is going to be to exploit the fact that most trainers don't use Smart AI. In fact, there are only a few trainers in the entire game that use Smart AI. Misty, Erica, Koga, Giovanni, Lorelei, Lance, and all the rivals from Rival 3 up to Rival 6, and finally the champion. But that's it. Every other trainer has a chance to just use bad moves and make mistakes against us that will allow us to set up and get through these fights. So with that being said, let's get into this, folks. Gyarados, level 5, no XP. Let's see if it's possible in this version of the game. Alright, so we're in Professor Oak's lab. It's time to pick up our Gyarados. It's Pokemon Red and Blue, folks. We've replaced Squirtle with Gyarados using the Ultimate Pokemon Randomizer. We're not using any other cheats other than that and the No XP code, as noted in the intro. So we're going to name it I Am Legend, and we're going to have our rival take Bulbasaur. That way the champion will use Venusaur. We can't use Toxic on a Venusaur. The first fight is a one-hit KO with Dragon Rage. Going into Viridian Forest, more of the same. One hit with Dragon Rage. Let's move on to Brock. We don't need Dragon Rage here, folks. We got Hydro Pump. 2 hits is all it takes to take down both of his Pokemon. So, with that being done, we have gotten through the first badge with a level 5 Pokemon. Let's go crush everything on the way to Cerulean. At this point, nothing can stand up to Dragon Rage. It's always a one-hit KO until we get to Misty. Misty is the first true challenge of this run. You see, because Misty cannot be one-shot with Dragon Rage, and she's always going to hit us with Tackle, because she has Smart AI. And Tackle does enough damage that we can't take 2 hits, so even if we get through Staryu, Starmie will take us out. So how do we get through this one? Well, 2 things. She can use an X defense to waste a turn, and Tackle has a 5% chance to miss. A 5% chance to miss may not sound like much, but that's 12 times more likely than getting a Gen 1 miss. So it's really just a matter of grinding this one out. Here on this attempt, we get a miss from Misty's Staryu. We take it down, an X defend on Starmie, 2 hits. Boom! We have gotten through 2 gyms! So now we can go take on Rival 2, and this one is a bit of a grind, folks. We would expect it to be. This is the first time we've fought a trainer that has 4 Pokemon. The Pidgeotto and the Bulbasaur are both 2-hit KOs with Dragon Rage. And with accuracy drops from the Pidgeotto, yes, it's really trolly, but we can see that we are getting to Bulbasaur sometimes. So here, getting into the fight with Rival 2 properly, we're going to lead off with a Dragon Rage. We take a Sand Attack, that's okay. We take down Pidgeotto, we're still on full health. It's a 1-hit on Abra. We can get a 1-hit as soon as it connects on Rattata, And now 2-hit KO, but he uses Leech Seed. There we go. We have gotten through Rival 2. We can make our way up to Bill's house, where really none of these trainers are too difficult. This is the first section of the game, though, where random trainers on the overworld don't just go down in one hit to Dragon Rage. Some of these lasses are starting to be able to resist with their Nidorans, and we of course have to contend with the final lass, who has 2 Oddish in this section. But all of these Pokemon can use bad attacks, and Absorb isn't that strong, so we do get through, and we get to Bill's house. We can save him from his Pokemon experiments and get the SS ticket. But now, we have to go and take on the single hardest trainer in this run. The Rocket Grunt, who's the innocent bystander, has a Machop that only uses Karate Chop. That's 100% accurate, and we can't get through this. So, in these cases, there are 4 ways that we can overcome a challenge. We can try it again with max DVs. We can level up with rare candies. We can get more stat experience by taking more battles. Or we can just try for a Gen 1 miss. Well, let's check this out. With max DVs, at level 5, this is still impossible. Let's pop a couple rare candies and see. We have 2 rare candies at this point in the game. At level 6, let's try again. Yeah, it's still not really happening, but we're getting closer. Okay, let's try it at level 7. Well, with max DVs, folks, at level 7, Gyarados outspeeds, meaning it's a 2-hit KO, and it's a guaranteed chance to get to the Drowsy. Now, what about on 0 DVs? Well, at level 7, it's a range. If we get all of the stat experience, we can actually survive on 1 HP. So level 7 is the proper level to get through this challenge, but for me, I'm an absolute lunatic, so I'm just gonna grind this one out until I get the run right here, where I get a Gen 1 miss, and now I'm on the Drowsy, and Drowsy is a 2-hit KO. It can use Disable and Hypnosis. We get through. So now let's get our way down to the SSN, because once we beat Rival 3, we can start making our way to Celadon, we can get all the TMs there, and this challenge is really going to open up. So, here, the last with 3 Pidgeys is incredibly trolly. She uses Sand Attack, and it just takes forever to get through her. The next junior trainer isn't as big a problem. Now, Rival 3 is a bit of a challenge. But basically it comes down to this. We need to get through Pidgeotto on good health. Raticate does decent damage, but it doesn't take us out. Kadabra can use Teleport, and that's all we need. And finally, we just need Leech Seed. She uses Leech Seed twice and we get through. So, that is another challenge done. These took forever up to this point though. Now moving on to the first junior trainer on the way to Celadon with 4 grass-type Pokemon. This is an absolute grind. Absorb will not take us out though. We can take 2 Absorbs from our opponents, and we just need to get the ranges to knock them out without taking something like Sleep Powder. We get through that fight, but that one was insanely lucky. Now moving on to all of the trainers going through Rock Tunnel. They're not too bad. Everything has a chance to use bad moves against us. Even the junior trainer with a Bulbasaur and an Oddish isn't really too bad. The self-destruct hiker could be hard, but keep in mind we do have Hydro Pump, meaning that we can do decent damage here. In this one I actually used Dragon Rage. They're 2-hit KOs with Dragon Rage for all of his Pokemon, so we really just need a defense curl from them. There we go, we get through. So with that being done, we really only have one more fight, and we're going to be able to get through. And now the gambler on the route to Celadon, we've made it to Celadon City. And here we can get some of the most broken moves in the entire game. It's not just Double Team, folks. No, we're going to get Ice Beam here. Ice Beam is completely broken because it's going to let us freeze our opponents, and that's going to be a free way to get through a lot of fights. So we are going to learn Ice Beam over Leer because Leer's basically worthless for us. And let's go try out our new tricks on Erica's gym. So on Erica, she leads in red and blue with Victory Bell. This is very different from Pokemon Yellow, where she leads with Tangela. You see, in Yellow version, Tangela would only use Mega Drain and Vine Whip here, but Victory Bell will use moves like Stun Spore and Sleep Powder that are not 100% accurate, meaning that we can try to get the freeze, and once we get the freeze, we can start setting up on her team. So, it's just a matter of grinding it out for a while. Let's see how many attempts this takes. So here, basically, we are going to lead off with Ice Beam. It takes a couple of attempts, but we do get the freeze, so now we can set up Double Team without any risk of being hit by the Victory Bell. Now with Dragon Rage, it's a 3-hit KO, and we can move on to Tangela. Takes just a couple hits from Dragon Rage to take it down, and Vileplume is a 3-hit KO. But there we go, we have gotten the 3rd gym done! With that being out of the way, let's go back and fight Lieutenant Surge. Like, you'd think he could be really difficult, but Freeze plus Double Team completely breaks the game at this point. So that's what we're going for. On the first Voltorb, we are going to go ahead and set up Freeze tactics. We take a couple hits, but we're still alive on 3 HP. Let's set up Double Team. And then here, it's going to take 1 Dragon Rage to take out Voltorb. 2 Dragon Rages are going to take out Pikachu. And another 2 Dragon Rages to take out the Raichu. There we go. That's 4 gym badges done. And now we can get to the Rocket Game Corner, where, look, even with Ice Beam and Dragon Rage, these aren't easy fights. You're going to be grinding for a very long time in order to get through this challenge, but we can see that we're slowly but surely making our progress through the game corner. We're just about to pick up the lift key. Now we're fighting the 2 Rocket Grunts in front of Giovanni. And once we get through this, we're going to move on to Giovanni and see how this one goes. So here against Giovanni, we're starting to reach the point where Hydro Pump really just doesn't do enough. Dragon Rage is starting to be the better play in most of these spots. So here, it's just a matter of trying to get the freeze off, and then once we get the freeze on Onix, we're gonna have a chance. So let's just see how many attempts this ends up taking here. In this section, I was having absolutely terrible luck with the Rhyhorn and the Kangaskhan hitting us, even when we had all of our double teams set up. So this one, even with a double team strat, your mileage will vary, folks. But he can use moves like Screech, he can use Guard Specs, he can miss with Rock Throw. All of those are good results for us that can result in us getting through this fight. So here on this one, we go for Ice Beam turn 1, we get the freeze. Now we can set up Double Team, and because he doesn't heal up, we can actually just use Hydro Pump to take him down. Here, we're gonna go for 2 Dragon Rages on the Rhyhorn, and finally on Kangaskhan. It takes 3 hits to take it down, but we finally get through. So now we can go and fight Rival 4. And Rival 4's team is much better at this point in the game than it would be in Pokemon Yellow version. Because the Pidgeotto uses Sand Attack, but then his next Pokemon is actually Gyarados, which knows Dragon Rage and Hydro Pump. Completely broken for this section of the game. This is one of the few spots where I think that Pokemon Red and Blue is actually harder than Pokemon Yellow. Here in this one, what we're going to do is we are going to get the freeze on the Pidgeotto after 2 attempts. Now we can set up Double Team. Once we get our Double Team set up, we're going to go ahead and use Ice Beam to try to finish this one off. Basically, we need to save some Dragon Rages for Ivysaur at the end, because Ivysaur is going to resist moves like Hydro Pump. So here on the Gyarados, we freeze it and then we take it down with Dragon Rage. We're going to use Hydro Pump here on Growlithe, since it is weak to water. It takes 4 hits though to take it down. We switch to Ice Beam just to speed it up at the end to get a guaranteed hit. And we take down Kadabra with a couple of Dragon Rages, and Ivysaur goes down in a couple Dragon Rages. So there we go. Now we can fight all of the channelers here, and again, they're not easy, but they are possible given the fact that we have Dragon Rage. Basically, we're just trying to get the range to either get a freeze or to get Double Team set up, and then we're going to take these ones down. There are only 3 trainers that we have to get through here though. So now onto the Ghost Marowak. It really can't do anything to us. I mean, we're flying Pokemon, so we take it down, and now we just have to deal with the Rocket Grunts at the top of the tower. This is a point where it's important to note that I was starting to realize that when an opponent has a lot of non-attacking moves, sometimes it's better to just attack them with Dragon Rage instead of trying to set up Ice Beam or set up Double Team. Because if they have a 50% chance or higher of just not damaging us, for example by using Screech or missing with Supersonic, we're probably better off just taking that 50% chance when they're a 2-hit KO range. Double Team is really only important when the battle's gonna last for a long time. On the final Rocket Grunt at the top of the tower, we've gotten the freeze on its Zubat. We take it down with Dragon Rage. Here it's a couple hits on Rattata. It's going to be a couple hits on the Eradicate. And finally, we have the last Zubat, where we just run out of Dragon Rages, so we take it down with Ice Beam instead. So we've saved Mr. Fuji, and we are done with that section. So where should we go next? I decided to go down to Koga. And the reason I'm going to Koga is because if we beat him, we're going to get access to Toxic. And everybody knows from the level 5 Elite 4 runs that Toxic is incredibly important to these runs. Toxic gives us another way to knock out our opponents, even when we don't have enough PP to take them out with direct attacking moves. So let's see how this one goes. Here, the Jugglers are a little bit trolly because even when we freeze one of their Pokemon, they can swap out to a different Pokemon, but we get through them. Now it's time for Koga. Koga is an absolute grind. The thing that we have going in our advantage is that he can use moves like Smokescreen and he can use X attacks that will give us a chance, but actually I got stuck a lot of times on Muck. Muck using moves like Minimize could result in us using up basically all of our PP, and when we use up all of our PP too early, we can get taken out. So basically, we have to see if we can grind this one out. I haven't used PP ups yet because I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be best to use them on Dragon Rage or not at this point, so I decided to just hold off. Let's just grind this out and see if we can get through this one. So here, we're finally going to get a proper run at Koga here, where we are going to lead off with Ice Beam. We take a Smokescreen, but we do get the freeze, so let's just see if this is gonna work. We're gonna set up all of our double teams, and then we're gonna go into Dragon Rage, but we are getting some misses because of our accuracy drop. Now here against the Muck, we need to take it down as quickly as possible, but we're running out of Dragon Rage PP, so I decide, you know what, let's switch into Ice Beam. Let's just see if we can whittle this one down. It's already at low HP, so maybe this will be possible to just take it down with other attacking moves. We get the freeze and we knock it out. Now, we're going to go for Ice Beam on the second Coughing. We get the freeze here, and we are now going to use Dragon Rage to take it down, but we don't really have a lot of attacking PP left. I think our best shot is to get the self-destruct miss. So with Koga done, now we can get back to Silph Co, and it's just a matter of getting to Rival 5. So we have a big advantage at this point though, in that we are going to have access to Toxic. Toxic is going to let us get through this fight, I think. So here against Rival 5, the key is this. We need to get a freeze on the Pidgeot. Now Pidgeot can use some bad moves like Whirlwind, and that can give us a chance to set up. So let's just see how it goes. So here on this one, what we're gonna do, of course, Ice Beam. We get the freeze. Now it's time to set up Double Team. We have to keep in mind in this fight that we need to keep some Dragon Rages for the Venusaur at the end. So we take down the Pidgeot. Now we're going to use Toxic, and we're going to go into just wasting turns against the Gyarados until it gets into a range to get KO'd. Perfect. Now, against the Arcanine, we are going to go ahead and spam some Dragon Rage here. No, we're not. We're going to go ahead and use Double Team here to just waste some turns again. I don't think Growlithe can do that much to us. Alakazam is the scariest of his Pokemon up to this point, but I think we can just stall it out. So Let's just see if we get the luck. He uses recover, but that's fine. Just don't hit us. Let's use a Dragon Rage to guarantee it goes down. Now for Venusaur. I'm going to switch back into Ice Beam because I want to freeze it. If we get a freeze on this, then that's a guaranteed win at that point. There we go. We have beaten Rival 5. Now we can make our way towards Giovanni. There's one Rocket in front of Giovanni here, but he uses a Cubone and a Marowak that really just can't do anything to us. So once we get our double teams set up, we can just start taking these Pokemon down, even with a move as weak as Ice Beam. Here, he switches into a Drowsy, but we've already got all of our setup done. So here, we can really just use Toxic and then go into Dragon Rage to take it down. Finally, the last Marowak. Toxic, and we're going to use Dragon Rage. That was an easy fight. It's always nice to have an easy one after a really hard one. Now, on the Giovanni, this fight is a little bit of a grind, for sure. But there is a way through it, because he can use a move like Focus Energy with his first Nidorino, and of course, he can use Guard Specs, which don't do anything. So here, on this one, we are going to start by using Ice Beam to freeze the Nidorino. Now we're going to set up all of our double teams. We have to be really conscious, though, that against Nidoqueen, again, we're going to have to use Dragon Rage, so we can't use them all up here. We're going to use Toxic on Kangaskhan and take it down. Now, against the Rhyhorn, I used Toxic, but now I'm actually going to spam Ice Beam to take this one down. Against the last Nidoqueen, if we can freeze it, we basically guarantee a win. There we go. Now, we've run out of Dragon Rage. Okay, let's use Ice Beam. How low can we get it? Oh my god, we don't have enough PP to knock it out. Okay, this is the point where we have to just grind away all of our PP. He's never going to heal, and we're actually going to have to struggle the Nidoqueen down. I was dying when this happened in real time, but we used struggle, and there goes the Nidoqueen. So now we can move on to Sabrina, and Sabrina's not too bad here either, because her Kadabra uses the move Disable, which has a decent chance of not doing damage to us. So we just need to get the right ranges, and we're going to be able to get through this one. So it's just a matter of how many attempts this is going to take. Well, here we are going to freeze the Kadabra after a few attempts. Fortunately, it's using non-damaging moves. Once we get the freeze, we can now set up all of our double teams with complete immunity to anything that it does and take it down. Here against Mr. Mime, we're going to use Toxic, and yeah, we can spam a Dragon Rage or two here, but we really need Dragon Rage right here on the Venomoth. Venomoth is the Pokemon that can end us if we don't have enough Dragon Rage PP, but we take it down. Now, Alakazam. We poison it with Toxic. We're going to use some Dragon Rages. We don't really mind if she uses Recover. Boom, there we go. That's another gym done. We're through 6 gyms at this point, folks. Now moving on to Blaine. Blaine is just terrible. Everybody knows this, but in Red and Blue, he uses things like Super Potions when he's at full health. We can go ahead and just set up on the first Growlithe without even freezing it. Set up Toxic and just take this one down. Next on the Ponyta, we are going to set up here with Toxic yet again. We're not really fishing for freezes on these ones. Nope, we're just basically going to grind them down. Super Potions don't really matter as long as Toxic damage gets high enough. Here on Rapidash, it's going to be more Toxic, but now we're actually going to use Dragon Rage to speed up the fight. And on his Arcanine, Toxic, Dragon Rage. Let's just whittle this one down. And he's in the range. Come on. There we go. We have taken down Blaine. And now we have to talk about the gym leader, where I feel like I got the luckiest roll in this entire run. Giovanni. First attempt, folks. Basically, his Rhyhorn is so bad. He can use Guard Specs, he can use Tail Whip, and those are all we really need to be able to have a chance to get through this one. We set up all of our double teams, we use Toxic, and we take it down. Against Doug Trio. Doug Trio can only really hit us with Slash. And yeah, it can use Sand Attack, but it's basically just going to spam Slash here. But we have 6 double teams already set up, so it's really just about Toxic stalling until it goes down. On Nidoqueen, we get the freeze and we take it out. Now Nidoking, let's go for a freeze again. Let's see if we can get Ice Beam to connect. Here, come on. It's taking a few attempts, but we're going to just say, okay, there's the freeze. Now we can use Dragon Rage. The final Pokemon, he's Rhydon. And once we poison it with Toxic, we're just going to go into Dragon Rage to speed this up. And there we go. 8 gym leaders, done. Now we can take on Rival 6. And Rival 6 is not exactly easy, but we do have to keep in mind that his Pidgeot will give us some chances. It's going to use Agility, and Agility is really the key. Because with Agility, that's a free turn to set up. The other advantage here is that Rival 6 doesn't have any Pokemon that can use Swift. Unlike in Pokemon Yellow version, where both his Sandslash and his Magneton use Swift and could completely wreck a Pokemon that's just trying to use Double Team to get through. So let's see how many attempts this one takes. We're gonna have to grind this one out for a little bit. In hindsight, I definitely should have just gotten Substitute here, because Substitute would have bought us an extra turn. The reason I didn't was because I thought maybe Ice Beam could still be useful when we're trying to get to the end against the Venusaur. But yeah, Substitute's probably the play, folks. So here, finally, we are going to get a run where we are able to freeze the Pidgeot turn 1. We're going to set up all of our double teams at this point. And after that, we're just going to go into Dragon Rage to take the first Pidgeot down. Now, he has a Rhyhorn. I decided to use Toxic and Dragon Rage in order to take this one out, but we have to be careful not to use up all of our Dragon Rages because that's the only way we're going to take down the Venusaur. Here, we get Poison off on the Gyarados with Toxic, and we just whittle it down. Now, Growlithe. We are definitely going to use Toxic here, and let's go ahead and just waste some turns, and hopefully it will go down to Toxic damage. Here, we're just letting it slowly whittle itself down. There we go. Now, Alakazam. We are setting up Toxic. It can use moves like Recover and Reflect that won't do damage to us. That's all we really need. Now, we don't want to use up all our Dragon Rages, so please just go down. Okay. Now, on Venusaur, we're going to lead off with Ice Beam. We want to get the freeze if possible. There we go. Now, is 4 Dragon Rages enough? Yes, it is. We have gotten through Rival 6. And ladies and gentlemen, we are right here at the Elite Four. Now, I cut out a bunch of footage of me gambling at the Rocket Game Corner because it took forever to get 2 substitute TMs. That's what we need. We need 2 substitutes, 1 that we've taught, 1 in our bag, and we need a Mimic TM. With those being in our bag, let's get into Lorelei's fight here, where it's a little bit tougher when you're using a Gyarados, just because there aren't as many spots to cheese her team as it was with a Ghastly. But here, we are able to set up on the first Dugong. And now we set up Toxic and Dragon Rage. Now she can go to sleep, but she's not guaranteed to use Rest every turn. So when she wakes up, we just need to get the luck and we get through. Now, Toxic on the Cloyster, and we're actually going to spam some substitutes. We just want it to go down slowly but surely. We count to 5, folks. On the 5th turn, we use Dragon Rage. Now, we are going to use Toxic on the Slowbro, and we are setting up substitutes in case we get hit. Now, we've wasted enough turns, we take it down. Jinx. We just need to use Toxic, we're stalling it out. It hits us, okay, but we managed to take it down. Now, we get taken out by a Lapras. It was so close. Okay, next attempt. Let's try this again. We are going to set up our double teams right here and substitute on the Dugong. And now it's just a matter of trying to take it down without using too much of our Dragon Rage PP. Here, We finally get through this one after a ton of attempts. But now we can set up Toxic, and let's go into stalling out until we can set up our Dragon Rage on the 5th turn. Every time when you get to the 5th turn of Toxic, if you just use Dragon Rage, you will knock these Pokemon out without the opponent using a Super Potion. We're going to do the same thing here on Slowbro. Just stall it out, 5th turn, Dragon Rage, done. We've got better HP this time. So here, we're just going to continue to stall out on the Jinx. And 5th turn, let's take it down, perfect. Finally, our Toxic on the Lapras. We just need to stall until the 5th turn. Can we survive that long? Yes. And we are through Lorelei. Next to Bruno. Bruno's not a super huge challenge. He can take us out, but basically we're just trying to dodge a slam or a rock throw from his first Onix. So it's going to take a few attempts to get set up here, but here we have gotten Toxic off, and we are starting to stall out these Pokemon. We're all the way to Hitmonlee, and we get taken out. Okay, now let's do this properly. We are going to set up Double Team, and once we've got Double Team set up, we can now go into Substitute, and it's just a matter of not taking a hit that KOs us. So here, we are able to take down the Onix. We're on to Hitmonchan, where we're going to use Toxic and spam some Dragon Rages. In this case, Bruno is the only Elite Four member that doesn't use healing items, so we don't have to worry about ranges for him to heal. We take down Hitmonlee. Now, we are going to use Toxic and Dragon Rage and just go ham here on the Onix. And Toxic and Dragon Rage, let's just try to take down this Machamp as quickly as possible. Here, we are getting into the range where, perfect, it goes down. 2 Elite Four members done. 3 more battles to go. And once we finish it, we are going to be champions. Now at this point, we do have to learn Mimic. We showed that in Pokemon Yellow version, where Mimic allows us to steal Confuse Ray from the first Gengar. That's because we're not going to do enough damage with just Dragon Rage alone. By adding in some confusion damage though, we can create a situation where this becomes possible. So it's just going to be a bunch of grinding, a bunch of attempts against Agatha, but let's see how this goes. So here in this one, we are setting up some double teams. We are going to mimic Confuse Ray. And now we are going to go into Confuse Ray on the Golbat. In this version, we do have to worry about Haze, but we take down the Golbat quickly. Now we can do our proper setup on the first Gengar. So double team, now we're going into Dragon Rage and Confuse Ray, and hopefully we can just get the ranges to take this one down. We finished setting up all of our double teams here on the Haunter. It hits itself in confusion, and now we're able to take it out. Back to the first Gengar, because she just keeps switching back and forth. We take it down with a Dragon Rage. Now, Confuse Ray here on the Arbok. I want to keep as many Dragon Rages as possible for the last Gengar, in case we need the ranges. Here, we use a Confuse Ray. We have 6 Dragon Rages. So as long as we can keep her from healing, she uses a Super Potion, but we get through. Okay. We are on to Lance, folks. That was a grind against Agatha. Hopefully Lance isn't too bad. Let's find out. In this one, we do have an advantage on Ghastly, because Ghastly was always being attacked with Hydro Pump, meaning it had to hope for a 20% chance to miss from the first Gyarados. But here, we can actually have the Gyarados use Leer. 1 in 3 times, it's going to use Leer instead of using Dragon Rage or Hyper Beam, and that's our chance to get the setup off. So we are basically just grinding for a run where we take multiple Leers in a row, and where we can finally get through this section of the fight. We actually had a bunch of attempts where I even got as far as Aerodactyl, so cutting ahead after a small eternity, we get this run right here, where we're able to set up some double teams on the first Gyarados and get our substitute up. We finished setting up double team, and now it's just a matter of taking this Gyarados down. We are going to use Toxic, and we can actually cheese this a little bit. If we just stall 1 turn, we can actually go into Dragon Rage, and he'll be in the perfect range to feint from Toxic damage. Now on the first Dragonair, we're going to do a similar thing. We're going to get the Toxic setup. It hits us one time, that's fine. We're just going to set up another substitute and get it in the range to knock it out. Now let's try this one on the second Dragonair. We are getting it into the range slowly but surely with Dragon Rage. It's going to faint from Toxic damage here. Perfect. Now, Aerodactyl. Can we get through? Can it not troll us with lucky hits this time? Here, we are going to get it in the range. There we go. Dragonite. We are all the way to the end. We just need to survive. He hits us 2 times in a row. Why? Now we have to grind a bunch of times to get back to that point because that Dragonite hit us 2 turns in a row, which is incredibly lucky. Okay, let's try it again. Here, we're just going to go ham here on Double Team to try to get it set up. Once we get all our Double Teams set up, we can go into Toxic and Dragon Rage in order to take this Gyarados down. Now, first Dragonair, let's get it down. We just need to stall it out. We've taken a hit, but we set up a new substitute. That's fine. Get into the range, and it faints from Toxic damage. Okay. Second Dragonair time. We really just want to see agility. Just use agility. Come on. You're already outspeeding, so it doesn't matter. We take it down. Now, Aerodactyl. Can we get through this one without being a troll? We still have enough HP to set up one more substitute in case we get a lucky hit. We take it down. Now Dragonite. We are in the range to set up one more substitute there when it gets a lucky hit on us. Now please just don't hit us again. It hit us again. We have no substitute, but we take it down. There we go. I'm stoked. We are to the champion, folks. So the champion is really not too bad because we are going to be able to set up on the Pidgeot. So here, the strategy is this. We start by setting up a couple of double teams, then a substitute, just in case it manages to hit us. I did use Toxic here just to start stalling it out as well while we finish our double team setup. Here, we finally get it into the range to go down. Perfect. Alakazam is next. Alakazam has 2 non-attacking moves that it can use. Let's just hope that we can get it down into the range and not use up all our PP due to it using Recover. Remember, we have to keep some Dragon Rages for the Venusaur. So here, we are getting it down. Perfect. It hit us 1 time, so we do have to set up a new substitute. We use Toxic on the Rhydon, and we get it in the range where it goes down. Perfect. Now Gyarados, our doppelganger. Let's try to take this one down. We are only, what, 50 levels lower than this one? But we are going to take down the Gyarados. Perfect. Arcanine. It's going to get down into the range here. Can we take it down? Well, we take a hit on our substitute. Now we cannot use substitute anymore. And now Venusaur breaks our substitute with Solar Beam. Can we get through? It's one. No! We only needed 1 more hit to take down the Venusaur. We were so close. This is ridiculous. Okay, let's grind it out some more. Get back into the fight. We know this is possible, folks. We just needed 1 more hit. If we can just get that last hit, this is going to be a victory. So here on this one, we are coming up against Pidgeot again. We're going to set up our double teams, use Toxic, substitute, and now we just need to stall this one out. So here, let's just see if we can get the range. We use Dragon Rage and knock it out. Now on Alakazam, it's time to set up Toxic, and we're just trying to stall out. We're going to use up some of our extra substitute PP right here until we get it in the range and KO it. Now, Rhydon. We just need to get Toxic off and start using Dragon Rage in order to whittle it down. Get it in the range. There it goes. Now, we take a Dragon Rage from Gyarados. We cannot use any more substitutes because we're only on 6 HP, but we use Toxic and Dragon Rage to take that one down. Now, Toxic on Arcanine. I decide this is a good spot to just stall out. Let's just see if we can get it down into the range. We take it down. We're all the way to Venusaur. We cannot set up another substitute. It hits us with Razor Leaf, but we knock it out with Dragon Rage. Ladies and gentlemen, there you go. A full game run in Pokemon Red and Blue version with just a single level 5 Gyarados. That was a grind if I've ever had one in my life. But the fact that this is possible is so ridiculous. My mind is blown. Let's go fight Mewtwo. We know how we have to finish this out. So we are going to set up here on the Mewtwo, and we're going to use Toxic, and we are going to use Substitute to survive when it does hit us. And now Dragon Rage. Can we take this one down? Yes, we can. That's it, folks. I'm done with Pokemon Red and Blue forever because I've just beaten the game with a level 5 Pokemon. Now, to be clear, a much more consistent run would be a level 7 because you could beat that innocent bystander Rocket Grunt without needing a Gen 1 miss. But that was the only spot in the entire game where we needed luck like a Gen 1 miss to get through. Everywhere else, we could rely on the terrible movesets of our opponents, their terrible strategies in order to get through. So, the natural question you might be asking is, well, what about Pokemon Yellow version? Is this possible in that version of the game? Well, technically yes, but practically I'm gonna say no. Here's why. In Pokemon Yellow version, we have to contend with some serious nerfs to this strategy. The first being that Gyarados' starting moveset in Pokemon Yellow version is only Tackle. There are no Pokemon that know Dragon Rage at level 5 in Pokemon Yellow version unless you trade them to another card and give them TMs. The second issue is that there are a lot more opponents that actually use attacking moves against us in that version. Think about it. Brock's Geodude will only use Tackle. We still have to contend with Misty and the Innocent Bystander. Then we have to deal with the rival and the champion's Sandslash using moves like Swift, and when we get to the final champion, he's only going to use attacking moves. We also have to contend with the fact that Erica will only use attacking moves. On top of that, all of the other major trainers in the game have revamped teams and revamped movesets so that they aren't as easy to cheese into just using bad attacks. So while this is probably possible, it's probably not practical. Which brings me to my final takeaways from this little series that we've done of level 5 runs, which is this. I'm probably going to say something that I think a lot of you folks wouldn't expect, but if you're playing Pokemon Red and Blue, I think you actually need to ban a lot of TMs. But maybe not just the TMs that you think, like Double Team. No. We've shown in this series that the moves that really need to be banned in solo runs are Ice Beam, Blizzard, Mimic, Substitute, Bide, Toxic, Double Team. These moves are completely broken to the point that they allow you to beat the entire game, start to finish, with a single level 5 Pokemon. Anyway, that does it for me. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. Like and subscribe. Tell me what you think. Do you have an idea for a Pokemon that might be able to do it in Pokemon Yellow version? I'd love to hear it down below. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Later.